Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Tea Time. Usually on Tea Time, we talk about serious things, Starcraft things that will make Starcraft better, we hope. But today I'm going to lighten it up a little bit. We're going to talk about something tangentially related to Starcraft, but it's more of a human being thing, and that is the idea, and it happens a lot all over the world, probably has happened to you, where people, human beings, will treat other human beings either as above human being status or below it. And I have an example, I have a story. When I was growing up, I have, I think 36 first cousins and around 15 second cousins or so that I see every year, like once a year at a big party and things like that, and maybe a couple of other times. So I have a lot of cousins, and I was sort of in the second batch of cousins. We had the first batch, and those were the older cousins, and the second batch of us were sort of grouped together with the younger cousins. And at the lake and things, they'd all be, drinking and smoking at the fire late at night, and our parents would say, "Oh, you're not allowed to go down there. They're a bad influence, those big cousins that you have." And one of my big cousins in particular, Jared, I really looked up to him. He's super smart guy. And he's a political activist, he's a slam poet, and he always just sort of captivated me in one way or another, in the way that he would speak about things and all the different things that he knew. I was always interested to listen to him talk about stuff, and it was very, he's about 10 years older than I am. And that was probably when, that time in my life, probably like 12 to 14 years old, something like that. And then as time grew on, 10 years becomes smaller. The difference between a 12-year-old and a 22-year-old is not quite as big as the difference between a 22-year-old and a 32-year-old. And right around that time, 22, 21, I was in school for music at the time, and Jared was taking his poetry and setting it to punk rock music, which I thought was really cool. And he needed somebody to play bass. I played guitar and did vocals. And I said, well, bass, that's just a guitar with 2 less strings. And there are a lot of cool bass techniques that you can do that are different than guitar, but for the most part, just knowing the notes and being able to play the songs, it was really easy for me to pick up, and it was very cool. At this point in time, Jared, to me, was still in above human status. He was this idol, this figure that I looked up to that was so smart and on the cutting edge of being on the right side of history and understanding the politics of the world and all that kind of stuff. I was just, there he was, up in the sky. And I came to find out through different series while we were on the road touring in a band called Prayers for Atheists, I came to find out that he was a human being, and it was a very strange experience for me. He did some things that weren't perfect, and it blew my mind. It was, it's 21 years old. You think, oh yeah, obviously. And it's one of those things that I think you have to experience to really relate to, where in my head, I'm like, oh yeah, Jared's a person just like everybody else is a person. But it took those moments in time, those moments where he made mistakes and showed his sort of human quality to the rest of us. We got into arguments and all that kind of things like that. Everything does come out on the road. And maybe we'll have tour stories. I have a book full of tour stories, and maybe some of the Tea Time episodes will be reading from the book of tour stories. If that's something you're interested in, let me know. I have a lot of them, and some of them are more entertaining than others. But in any case, he became a human being to me, and it was really interesting how that relationship changed. And I did mention this was tangentially related to Starcraft. Well, I'm in a place in Starcraft right now where I'm kind of right in the middle. There are people who look up to me in the way that I looked up to my cousin Jared. And there are people who will fanboy, for lack of a better term, and be nervous to talk to me or, ask me a question or something like that, or say hi at an event in the same way that I am, super nervous if like Artosis or Day 9 is at an event. I was lucky enough last year to get invited to a party, and there were a lot of people at the party that I was just like, oh my God. They were in the above human status area. One of which was Slayer's boxer and his wife. And Neuro was there as well. And I sat down. It was this amazing experience to me. I sat down, and I didn't realize he was there. I sat down, and I looked to my right across the aisle, and literally, Slayer's boxer was here. I don't even know if this fits in the shot, but an arm's length away. I could like tap him on the shoulder and be like, hey, you're amazing. You're like my hero. Thanks for being awesome. I didn't do that, but I could have. That's like the point, right? And I was actually talking to Nero at the time. It's sort of in hushed tones. Just like I had complete physical awareness of my bloodstream, which was wild, right? I could feel, and not all of it, obviously, because I'm sure there are more veins than I felt, but I could feel blood flowing through my veins. I could like feel my heart going like really loud, really powerfully. And it was crazy. It was this crazy moment in time. But he's just a human being. And you know, jokes aside about gods and the gods and bonjours of Starcraft, he's just a human being. You know, he makes mistakes, and he just is a human being that happens to be really good at Starcraft. He might be really awful at a bunch of other things. In fact, he probably is, because he's a human being. But that, for some reason, and the way that I was introduced to him, created that effect, which I thought was really wild. The sort of sad thing about us, about humans, is that we'll do it in the reverse too. We'll do it the other way around. And we'll do it in such a way, so playing a team game, for instance, someone will make a single mistake. Maybe you're playing Heroes of the Storm, or League of Legends or Dota 2. Those are probably the most popular team games at the moment. Or Overwatch, overhype. And someone makes a mistake. And you've probably experienced this yourself. There's one guy who's like, as soon as that person makes a mistake, they're like, oh my God, you're trash, uninstall the game, all of this, you know, just endless torrent of bad manner and negativity. And it's ridiculous, right? You sort of see them as subhuman. You expect them to not make any mistakes, and they're making mistakes, but as soon as they make one mistake, poof, that's it, they're down here, you know? In a larger political sphere of things, in a much more serious tone, that's the same area of seeing people as non-human that racism comes out of, and sexism, and all these other nasty, ugly things that exist in the world between human beings. And I thought it was just an interesting thing to reflect upon. I guess it's mistakes, and I don't really know, and that's kind of, in tea time, I don't really come at you every time with, these are things that I know that I've researched, and this is how I feel about a thing. Sometimes I just like to, I think something's interesting, and I'm interested to hear what you think about it. Have you had experiences like this, where maybe you've treated someone where above or below what a human being is? And what caused that? Because I think it has to do with mistakes. Maybe mistakes and a little bit of expectations of a particular person. That's kind of what I wanted to bring forth. And the idea of, you know, is that a good thing or a bad thing that exists? Does it have to do with fame? You know, this idea of someone is famous or well-known, and therefore they're more valuable, so you should be nervous talking to them. Is that something that we can move past as a species and just learn that we're all humans? Or is there some sort of deep emotional thing, some evolutionary thing that has led to this point, and so this sort of visceral feeling of the heart pumping, the hand shaking, and things like that happens, it's unavoidable. Do we evolve out of it or not, you know? And all these sort of questions came into my mind. And I thought I'd share them with all of you. So What do you think? How do we get past seeing other people as less than human or more than human? And probably not seeing people as less than human would be the priority, you know? And then maybe secondary priority, stop seeing people who are famous as more than human beings. Allow them to make mistakes. Don't build them up in your mind to be this amazing human being when they're just a regular human being who happens to be good at a particular thing or happens to have done a particular thing. I'm really interested in hearing about other cultures because I know that American culture is very, very fame-oriented. But I think if we were to attempt to take this semi-rambly tea time and come up with some sort of conclusive action to be better people, maybe we're more playing team games and someone makes a mistake. We say, okay, you're a human being. You made a mistake, it's okay. And being okay with that. Maybe people in our lives too, when they do something wrong or make a mistake, maybe we say, it's okay, you've made a mistake. Today was a tea time, a lot of questions and a whole lot of not answers. And let me know what you think about that. And if you've had these same sort of questions bouncing around in your head, or maybe some answers to share, and I hope we can talk about this and have a good time together. See you later.